Welcome to Thermomixing Adventures. Lisa here. I hope you are having a fantastic week in the lead up to Christmas. Hey, look, I thought I'd jump on the bandwagon and give this recipe a go. It is a festive camembert wreath. It is not gluten-free. It is not dairy-free. It is a Christmas treat. So what have I done so far? Because I thought the tricky thing to this recipe when we've got a Thermomix is not the thermomixing part. You guys can caramelize some beautiful cranberries in there, and that's not hard. You can make a dough, that's not hard. So I think the thing that might stop you making this recipe is actually the assembly. So today I'm going to show you that assembly step. So come along and see how easy this is. Now there are some changes I'm going to make it even easier, a little bit of shortcuts, and also I'm going to do some things that are just personalized tweaks. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about substitutions, because this recipe I think has such potential to be used in different ways. So let's get started. I'm halfway through this recipe, as I made mention, and I've rolled out two dough circles. So you made a dough, it then asks you to roll it out into two circles. So I've got one down here on a thermomat, I've got one here on baking paper. Now it did say put it on the pizza tray. If you have a pizza stone, it would be amazing, but a pizza tray, which I will transfer to later, has little sides up. And when it has the little sides up, it makes it really hard to cut later. Oh, P.S. do not do this on your thermomat, because if you do it on your thermomat and then you cut on it, you're going to cut your thermomat. Okay, so no using your silicone mats underneath your dough for this recipe. Okay, so do say hi if you're watching on today, by the way. And yeah, I'd love to see how you're going with your Christmas prep or hear about it. So do put that in the chat as well. So it says, make your dough, let it prove, divide it into two balls, roll it out. Okay, so I'm at that stage, I've got two dough balls. Then you can see here it says set one aside and place the other one on a tray, a pizza tray. Don't place it on a pizza tray yet. Keep it on some baking paper because it's easy to transfer later straight on the baking paper, straight onto another tray. I'll show you that later. Now it tells you to place a circle of camembert. I'm just going to go over here so you can see in the center of the dough. Woohoo! All right, I have the camembert. You could use brie, anything with circular cheese with the kind of the outside layer. You might have seen me do the melted brie a couple of weeks ago in our Christmas prep one where you steam it in the top with the tomatoes. Amazing. If you're looking for something a little bit special, this is pretty special too, but even simpler, like it's one of those ones you just put it in and you forget about and you come back and serve it and it's amazing. So another great one for Christmas as well. By the way, you do want to leave a bit of time if you are making this on Christmas Day or Boxing Day, or even taking it to somebody's house. I would actually, I'm going to sidestep. If I'm going to take it to someone's house, I'm going to make it in smaller ones. I'm going to get those smaller cheese circles, you know, the ones that are smaller. I think this is, I don't know what size it is. I should read the packet. But anyway, you know the smaller ones? I'd make this into two and then I'd layer it in my thermo server because this is going to be best warm. You want that cheese to be gooey and warm. So the other thing you could do is you could actually, if you're not having to go far with it, you could make a full-size one and leave it in the fridge uncooked, ready to be put in the oven the next day just before you're going to leave. But you do want to make time to make this beforehand because the dough needs to prove and this mix needs to cool, because otherwise you're putting that onto a dough, it's going to get sticky and a bit challenging to work with. 2 bowls is super handy, and if you've not heard, $29 bowl offer was extended till the 12th of Jan. Let me know if I can help you or a loved one get a Thermomix this year. I'd love to support you. So I would make 2 small ones. I'd still use the same dough portions and everything like that. I would just split it into smaller. I'd put a smaller ring in the center and I'd then make them, they'd only be 15 centimeter circles, and I'd put them in my thermo servers. I'd stack them on top of each other on baking paper after it's cooked, lid on. By the way, little tiny like hand towel on top to catch the humidity, and off I'd go. All right, that's how I would do it. So back we go. So that's in the center. Happy days. Spread 3/4 of the filling around, leaving a 1 centimeter gap from the edge, because this is to allow us to press it together. So most of this, but not all of it. Now you'll notice I've got a bit that's not actually cooked off well in there. That's my own doing. I didn't scrape the sides down. Those of you who watch along know that I'm terrible at following instructions like that. So I didn't scrape the sides. So we're keeping some of this aside because some of it gets to dress the top at the end. By the way, if this is different to everything else you've seen so far being made with this recipe, I've not watched anybody else make it. So I'm literally following the instructions as much as my attention will let me follow them. Hello, Carissa. Lovely to have you on today. What have you been making in your Thermomix? Let me know. So leaving that gap around the outside. Now, I think you guys can see today, I've purposely left the camera quite short. So I know sometimes I'm cutting my head off But I want you guys to see, because this is the part that might put you off, is the actual assembly, not the other part's easy, especially with the Thermomix on the bench. We can all make a beautiful chutney. And talking about chutney, say you didn't want to do cranberries. What else could you do? You know what? The caramelized onion with the balsamic in it, and it's a red wine vinegar, but you could use balsamic instead. Amazing. I would be putting that in there. I reckon that would be absolutely phenomenal if you didn't want to do or didn't have chutneys or wanted something, not chutneys, if you didn't have cranberries, or maybe you just wanted something cheaper. You know, doing onions would be amazing in this recipe. All right, so I have put most of the mix around pretty evenly. Then we're going to go, and we're left a 1 centimeter gap. Mine's a bit more generous than 1 centimeter, as you can see. Sprinkle filling with 30 grams of pistachios. So again, you could go crazy with this. You could use like slithered almonds, or not slithered. I just dice them up randomly in the Thermomix so that they're kind of rough dice. You could sprinkle them on there, some macadamias, hazelnuts, whatever. Hazelnuts could be a bit weird with cranberries. I don't know. But you know what I mean though. Anything, right? Whatever you want. If you've got someone with a nut allergy, use some pepitas and sunflowers. Would be beautiful as well. So straight out of the packet here. We don't tend to use pistachios at many other times of the year, just Christmas time here. And it tends to go into the Christmas cookie gift jars for people. By the way, have you gone and downloaded your labels for your jars yet? Go over and check that out. And then things like this as well. So then we need to put into it some bacon, 3/4 of bacon. Now I use my spare bowl, okay? I told you spare bowl is amazing to actually cook this off using the high heat function, okay, on the TM6. So the TM6 goes nice and hot and will actually cook this off beautifully. So I've just got, I cheated, I bought a packet of pre-diced bacon, and I don't know how much I'm gonna need. We like bacon around here, but I do need to save some to decorate the top at the end, okay? So I am putting a little bit aside. And that bacon and that chutney kind of thing is all cool. You want it to be cool. Okay, now we get to the fun stuff. So, place the reserve circle of dough on top. Now, by the way, that's 200 grams this one is. So the 125s are the small ones when I was talking about doing halves. Oh, Christmas pudding, Carissa. That sounds beautiful. All right, here's my other one on the Thermomat. Thermomats are amazing. If you don't have one, you have a demo, you get one discounted. Actually, it's a pack. It's a duo pack with the oven mat, discounted or free. And we can jump online and do that at any stage. So the best thing to do, and I love that they're slightly see-through because I can kind of see what I'm doing, is match up a side with a side. We can wiggle it around later, but if you follow one edge around, so I'm matching this edge to this edge, it'll be pretty close. So, although I've made it larger, that's okay though. It has to fit over a cheese. Now, I didn't flour it or anything like that. If you follow the recipe pretty closely, it doesn't really need flouring. Okay, so pinch the outside edges of the pizza together to seal. Okay, so we're just going to grab our edges. You guys can see that. This is where my top is slightly larger because you guys know me, I don't measure, right? I'm not very good at that sort of stuff. So I'm going to level these together. So all I'm doing is, like, you can see I'm lifting it in and I'm putting it on top inwards because dough will easily join up, and just occasionally pinch it if needed. And then come round, and it doesn't have to be too neat because we're going to do something special with the outside, and I'm doing it a little different to this original recipe calls for. It calls for you to make like sunshine rays or something like that. I'm doing it a bit different. So let's go around. I'm just making sure they match up, and then I'm just going to push it down, pinch it together using the tips of my fingers. Round they go, and around. There we go. Now, gluten-free people, I can hear you asking, Lisa, could I make this? All right, what I would do if I was going to be true to form is I would actually make a gluten-free puff pastry and do it with this. Now, it is really hard to make a gluten-free dough that works like this, okay? So it's not probably going to work unless you buy expensive gluten-free flour, the stuff that's made for bread making that's got all sorts of things in it to help it become the replica of gluten, okay, with this form. But you can make gluten-free puff pastry. Now, it's a bit tacky to work with. Hey, Lisa, how are you? It's a wee bit tacky to work with, but you could do this with gluten-free puff. And it would be really nice. So watch this space, because probably if I've got time between now and Christmas, I've been doing lots of baking today, by the way. I'm going to show you pictures later. I've got crackers coming out of the oven, left, right, and center. I've got tomatoes dehydrating because we've got an abundance of tomatoes, and I can't fit any more tomatoes in the cupboard. The jarred tomatoes have made up. So I've dehydrated a whole stack. There's been a whole lot of stuff going on today, and I will share photos with you, but if I get time, I'll actually have a go at that for you, and I'll show you what that looks like, because I think that's a really great alternative. And obviously it's not dairy free, okay? So puff pastry has butter in it, but if you're gluten free, that's a really great option. All right, we've done that. Now what do we do? To seal. We've done that. We've pinched the edges together. Happy days. Cut the dough directly on top of the camembert to form 8 triangles and roll back in closed sides of the cheese. Okay, so 8. So we can see our little indent here of the cheese. So we're going to do a little, like a pizza in the center. We're not going all the way out though. I'm hoping I'm cutting far enough. I have my kitchen toolkit knife though. If you ever get the chance to get a Thermomix kitchen toolkit, they are amazing. Okay, they are worth their weight in gold. I don't know if I'm cutting far enough, but I'm worried I'm going to cut through to underneath. I wonder if I can wiggle you guys over. Last time I tried to do this, it fell. Sorry about that angle. Here we go. Let's give this a go. There we go. Try that. All right. So you can see I've put a little cross on top. I'm not sure if I cut far enough. Let's see. But I don't want to cut through that cheese, because that beautiful cheese is going to ooze out that top when I serve it beautifully. All right. Here we go. So then they say roll it back. I wonder if a pair of scissors. The kitchen toolkit has a pair of scissors in it too. However, they're the first thing at my house that go missing. My children love craft, and so the scissors always go walking. So roll it back. There we go. Look at that. We did one. Yeah, I reckon scissors actually would be the way to go. Could also be that it's quite hot in my room here, so it's getting stickier to work with, but that's okay. We can do this. Just bear with me and be a bit patient, guys. And you know what? Have you tried this recipe yet? I'd love to know. See how I've cut the top of it? That's what I was trying not to do. Anyway, that's okay. Have you given this recipe a go, or is it something you've gone, I don't know, it looks hard? Because I was kind of going, oh, it looks hard. And then I'm like, oh, come on, Lisa, just give it a go. So let us know. And on that note, what are we planning for our Christmas lunch at our get-togethers or our taking to people's house? Have we got some Thermi cooking happening? Please tell me we do. Tell me I've inspired you to try, pavlova and all those goodies. I'd love to know what you're planning on making this year. I've got lots of dips and crackers, obviously, that I've spoken about already that I'm making. If this is, I'm thinking about doing this again because this looks a little bit impressive. Spin that down. I'm nearly done. 2 more to go. A little bit fiddly, but that's okay. It's worth it. Kids are like, what are you making? I'm like, I'm not telling. Hello, Lorraine. How are you? I'm glad you gave it a go, and I'm glad it turned out amazing. I'm looking forward to that. Seeing what the final product is. Anything with brie and camembert, right? It's bound to be a crowd pleaser. Here we go. Last one. Now, what I've noticed with this is you don't have to be absolutely perfect. Some of these are a bit raggedy from me hacking in and trying to cut. And as I said, I reckon scissors, if you've got sharp kitchen scissors, I would do that. I'd start the first one and then I just use a pair of scissors because that was tricky. All right, it's just fiddly. So there we go, down the sides. Oh, look, that looks pretty, doesn't it? All right, next up. Now I think we cut the sides. Now this is actually why I said don't put it on a tray yet, because you want to be able to go all the way down to the bottom. And if you put it on your rose gold, you're going to mark it. If you put it on a Thermomat, you're going to mark it. And the bigger the knife, the better. And I thought actually one of my other Thermomix knives might work, but it actually might not, because what you actually want to do is you do not want to be sawing into it because your filling is going to make a big mess. You want to be pressing. So I'm going to follow my little indents here from the stars, and I'm going to go straight down, and I'm hoping this is what they meant. This is where I'm like, no, we probably should have watched someone else's video. Can you see how much I'm struggling because my knife is not long enough? So a long bladed knife. I probably should have got my Thermomix fancy one, the chef ones that we got. That would have been better. But anyway, we're aiming for 8 to start off with, which we turn into 16. Okay, so that's the plan. What am I going to try? I don't think this one's going to be ideal. It's serrated. This is also in the kitchen toolkit, but I will use it anyway. Not even game to call out to the kids for them to grab those chef knives. They are so amazing, but so sharp. All right, pressing down. This is better. It's a bit longer. so I can kind of give it a rocking motion. Ideally though, a knife that is wide enough to go the full width out in one cut, so you're not doing it in 2 cuts like I am. Oh, puppy dog at the door. All right, round we go. There we go. We have a little new family member called Darcy, and she is now 12 and a half weeks old and sleeping lots, but apparently just awake now. So, all right, so now that's 8. Now we got to go a bit smaller. We go into 16. Now, if you've ever made the hazelnut brioche, that's actually what I am going to mimic today. Yes, you could do beautiful sunshine things, and even you could stop and leave it like that. Like, that'd be lovely in itself like that. And the recommended one is actually to do everything a 90-degree turn, but I want to try, and I love the look of the hazelnut brioche. Okay, so that's what I'm actually going to go with. Just a side thought, if you are making this later, I would suggest giving that pastry a good, dough, a good push down on top of that cranberry mixture before you get to this slicing stage, because at the moment, and maybe less is more. I don't know. Let's see how I go twisting these in a minute. But I'm also wondering, like, there's a lot of filling in there to twist. So I'm kind of going, oh, I wonder how this is going to go. So let's see. As I said, learning as I go with you guys. I hope you've enjoyed the videos this year, by the way. I hope you've got lots of ideas and inspiration and skills for your Thermomix watching them. That's what I'm here for. Nearly done. Round we go. Last one. All right. Now, my knife is serrated, so I may have to do a few little re-chops as I go, but all we want to do is what I'm going to do. So the normal way, as I made mention, is you lift a portion and you twist it 90 degrees and put it upside down. So you'll literally lift the end, twist and put it down. Make sure you lift it all the way in. See how mine's actually a little connected still? That was what I thought might happen. So I'll just cut it through. You won't have that trouble with your knife, but it's a twist. So I'm going to do it a bit different though. I want to actually do what the hazelnut brioche does, and I'm going to twist them together. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm not twist them together. If they're twisting in opposing ways, so you grab the two, you twist, and then you try and join the end like that, and just get a little pinch. Did you see that? I'm going to do it one more time. Actually, I'll do it a few more times for you. Can you see how easy it is on the paper to spin around and work in the next section right in front of you as well? If any falls out, stick it back in. I'd highly suggest doing it on the baking paper. Okay, like I would say definitely do it. So I'll just cut this down again, make sure I've cut all the way through. You know what, a tip on this knifing business as well, put some flour on it. I think you'll find the flour will give you something easier to work with rather than it rejoining all the time. Okay, ready? So we go twist to center, and then join them at the end. Okay, beautiful. Twist, pinch at the end, that's what keeps them together. Now, when I've done this in a second, there's one more tip I want to give you guys before we go today, and it's around, actually 2 things. First is, we talked momentarily about centers, things you could put in here instead of the cranberries. You could be doing something like apricots and almonds. That would be beautiful cooked off together in there. You could be doing so many different fillings. Hey, like you could even do the hazelnut filling and serve it with the cheese. There's absolutely no reason why you couldn't do that, okay? So, if you've got something like your tomato relish in your fridge, use tomato relish. And, as a bare, if you were really stuck for time and really wanted to have a go at making this, barbecue sauce and cheese, okay? Grated cheese. Amazing. I reckon that would taste absolutely amazing. So obviously I'd love it if you made it in your Thermomix. But you know what? Let's be real. This season of year, this time of season is a busy season. So, work with what you've got, whatever that might be. So the only thing I'd say when you're thinking about your fillings, and I say grated cheese, and the reason I say grated cheese is because whatever you put in the center needs to be small enough that it's not going to clump and be a pain to cut through. I don't know if you've ever made scrolls in your Thermomix, but with the scrolls, if you have your big chunks of salami and then you go to slice it, it's really hard to slice because you've got to get through the salami, right? So that's what I mean by just think about the sizing. You don't want massive chunks. I love the look of this, what is it? I don't even know what it is. Wreath, that's what it is. I love it like this. This is really my little fancy go-to, okay? And I have put so many different fillings in that hazelnut brioche as well, so don't feel like you're going to get stuck and do hazelnut. Okay, stick into the paper. It's getting very warm. Okay, did I do that the wrong way? Oh, well. All right, keep on going. Round we go. Now, to finish it off, it normally calls for an egg wash on the top. This is where I cheat, okay? And those of you who've watched me for a time may know this already. But instead of an egg wash, I would suggest getting your olive oil spray. Now, I don't use olive oil very often, the spray. Okay, I use olive oil itself, but not the spray for various reasons. However, I always have it because it's something there where there'll be a time when I go to make something and I don't know, I can't put baking paper in my tray or whatever the case might be, and I just need that ease. So I always have it in the cupboard. And the other thing I always use it for is anything that calls for egg wash, because I hate nothing more than beating up one egg to use a tiny bit to make it brown in the oven. So I'm just finishing this off. Well, all you do is you get your good old olive oil spray, and maybe you've got a pump one as well. I've never had success with them. And you give it a very light spray, and guess what? Done, without wasting an egg. How cool is that? Let me just check these recipes for you to finish. Tells you how to roll it, or do it like we just did. Brush the edges with the beaten egg and bake for 18 to 20 minutes at 190 degrees. So there you go, guys. That is how you make a wreath my way, because I'm no good at following instructions. But I hope you'll give it a go. I hope it gives you confidence as well to be able to realize that it doesn't have to be exactly as the recipe calls for. Hopefully you've now seen it through from beginning to end, that you can go, oh wow, I can do that. And maybe you've got something in the fridge already you can be putting between your layers of dough, so that you don't have to go buy cranberries and make the cranberry stuff. You could be using cooked off onions, which would be amazing, and then, I don't know, some sunflower seeds and pepitas on it or something like that. Something you've already got, so you're not having to go out and spend more money this festive season. But otherwise, guys, thanks for watching on today. I hope you've taken away some hints and tips. Reach out if I can support you in any way with your Thermomix. I am still around my phone this festive season, so I won't be far away if you need a hand with whatever you're making. I can't wait to see your pictures, so do share your Christmas goodies that you're making, your pavlovas and the sauces and all that sort of stuff as well. But otherwise, thanks for joining me today. Lisa Keegan here from Thermomix Adventures, and I can't wait to support you into the new year. So take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.